Hello Primary 3, I welcome you all. This is Teacher Katumba Samuel teaching you mathematics. So please pay attention so that you can grasp my explanation, so that you can grasp the concept. In our previous lesson, we looked at picture graphs, and we are still looking at the same. Only that this graph has got what we call a scale. It has what we call a scale, and we are going to see what we mean by a scale. We are going to see what we mean by a scale. It's not like the previous graph. The previous one had no scale, but now this one has got a scale. And we are going to see what a scale is. We are going to see what I mean by a scale. So what did I say? I said when you are given graph work, when you are given a picture graph, you need to read and interpret this statement. You must be able to read and understand the statement given. So we have our statement here. Actually, this one is supposed to be 3. This one is supposed to be 3. So we have our statement here. They are saying the graph represents trees planted by 3 children in our school compound. So these children planted the trees in the school compound. But now some are lazy, some are quick at planting, others like that, you know how we behave. So we have Nami planted 5 trees. That one is a bit hard working. She planted 5 trees. Then Nakasi planted 3 trees. Rose planted 2. And now this is a scale. The 2 does not mean the real 2. This one has got what? A scale. This is what we call a scale. They are saying 1 tree stands for 10 trees. So what does that mean? Wherever you see 1 tree, that means there are 10 trees there. It stands for 10 trees. So what does that mean? This one is 10, 10, 10, another 10, 10. So wherever you see a tree, that one stands for 10 trees. So this is what we call a scale. We call it a scale. In math, we call this one a scale. So whenever you are given a picture graph with a scale, you need to look at the scale first. You need to look at the scale first. You study the scale and interpret it and understand it very carefully. To study is take a critical analysis. You look at it and see what it means. You interpret it. You get me right? Sometimes they put the scale down here, sometimes they put the scale up here. So before you do anything, you must be able to read and understand everything. You must be able to read read your graph and interpret whatever is there before you jump and answer the questions. Read the statement given, study the graph, then look at the scale. If the scale is not there, like the previous graphs that you have looked at, then you will just answer the questions. But now for this case, we have a scale. Sometimes they put it down here, sometimes they put it up here. So you must be able to interpret. You must be able to interpret. So these are the children. We have Nambi, we have Nakasi, we have Rose. They planted trees. But now, according to our scale, they are telling us that one tree stands for 10 trees. What does that mean? Wherever you see 1 tree on your picture graph here, take it as 10. So this one is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Here we have 10, 10, 10. 10, 10. You get it? You get that information. You get that point. So that is it. That is what it means. So again, it's not mandatory. Siteka, Jibajama kuleta 10. They may not get you 10 trees. In your next paper, they may say 1 tree. 1 tree stands for 5 trees. 5 trees, 4 trees, 2 trees, depending on what they want. Depending on what they do, what they feel like. You get the point? So the scale varies. It changes depending on the examiner. Teach you okusinzira ku kyebakusetting. You get it? So you must take special note of that. So having looked at the graph and interpreted each and everything, then you begin to answer the questions. This time they may say, how many? These are now the questions. How many trees? How many trees did Nabi plant? Did Nabi plant? Nabi is a pronoun. I mean, it's a noun. So it begins with capital. It's a noun. Nabi plant. How many trees did Nabi plant? So there you say, Nabi planted, you will multiply. She planted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 trees. 5 trees. So 5 trees times 10. Because each tree represents 10 trees. So it is 5 times 10. Or we may say 5. This is what Nabi planted. So we may say this is 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, which will give us, here we shall get 50. 50 trees. 50 trees. And still here we shall get 50 trees. So you can either do it in this form or you can do it in this form. Still you'll be able to get it right. You will get the marks. So there you will answer the question and say Nabi planted 50 trees. Nabi planted 50 trees. So what does that mean? Instead of drawing here 50 trees, wasting time drawing 50 trees, these people deal with a scale. They can do it in short form using a scale. Using what? A scale. Other than drawing 50 trees. That one is time wasting. So what they do is to make it smaller by using a scale. Using what to call? A scale. So that's very important. Question 2. They may still say, who planted? Who planted? The least number, the least, or the lowest. This time they may use the word lowest. The lowest number of trees. Who planted the lowest number of trees? So there you don't need any calculation, you don't need to do what? You will just look at the graph and then tell us the person who planted the lowest number of trees. The lowest, I think that was Rose. Rose planted 10, 10, which is 20. 10, 10, 10, which is 30. This one planted 30, this one 50, this one 20. So Rose has the least number of trees. So there you would say Rose planted, Rose planted the least number of trees. The least number of trees. Full stop. So that is how we can answer the questions. Please mind about the scale, this scale here. If it is not there, then where are you simply answer the questions. But if the scale is there, please, you must follow the scale. You must follow the what? The scale. And I've told you sometimes they put it down here, sometimes they put it up here. So you must be able to interpret. You must be able to interpret. Let's have another question. Let's have another question. They may say, how many trees? How many? How many trees did Nakasi plant? Did Nakasi plant? How many trees did Nakasi plant? Nakasi is a noun, so capital letter. How many trees did Nakasi plant? So what does that mean? You will not tell us that Nakasi planted 3 trees. The pictures are 3, but now the scale is telling us that 1 tree represents 10 trees. So you will not tell us that Nakasi planted 3 trees because we have our scale. Wherever you see 1 tree, that is 10. So you can say Nakasi planted, that is 3 times 10 trees. 3 times 10 trees, which is 30 trees. So Nakasi planted 30 trees. Or you may still use this method, but not both. You choose one. If you decide to use this, you use that. If you decide to use this one, you can use this one. So this is 10. 10, 10, 10. So once you add, you are going to get 30 trees. So if you use this method, use that one. If you use this one, use that one. Then you conclude by saying Nakasi planted 30 trees. Full stop. Nakasi planted 30 trees. So that one is very important. The only logic is here, interpreting the scale. That's where the logic is. Interpretation of the scale, then interpretation of the what? The title. The statement given, the first statement given. If you come to know that, you will never and never fail numbers concerning graphs. Still, they may raise another question and say, how many more trees were planted by Nakasi than Rose? How many more trees were planted by Nakasi than Rose? They can still raise another question from there. This time they are saying, how many more trees? This is number 4. How many more? How many more trees? Were planted by Nakasi? Were planted by Nakasi. Than Rose. I said when they say more trees than more than, there get the difference. You will subtract. You will do what? You will subtract the trees planted by Nakasi, then you take out the trees planted by Rose. So you will begin by saying more trees. More trees equals the 30 trees planted by Nakasi. 30 trees, take away. This is 30. 30 trees, take away. How many Nakasi planted? 1, 2, that is 10. 20. 20 trees. And more trees equals 10 trees. 10 trees. Those are the more trees. So there you conclude by saying Nakasi planted 10 more trees. 10 more trees. 10 more trees than Rose. So there will be given a very long tick because you have answered our question perfectly. You have answered our question perfectly. So that's how we can deal with that. So when they talk of more, they are referring to subtraction. You will subtract. Okay? And more questions. They will set you more questions using these words that we talked of. We talked of more. These words, they will use these words. More. Words like more than, words like least, lowest, most. Who planted the most trees? Most, that means the biggest number, like what I told you, biggest number, or they may say highest number, or greatest number. They carry the same meaning. Those words are very important. You should take special note of them. In any case, they get you any of those words, please make sure that you are able to answer. So that has been our lesson. Wait for any activity, but please read and interpret the title, then look at the scale. That's when you will be able to answer the questions given. Thank you.